What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. Coming here today with a slightly different video for you. Over the weekend, my friends and we had a bit of a fool around on Outriders. Now, to give you a little bit of the background of Outriders, a game which I'm pretty sure that you all know, but it is an RPG cooperative game. It was due for release sort of late last year, but because of COVID and everything, it got put back a little bit. So it's due to come out in April 21, so in a couple of months' time. So the demo dropped this weekend for everybody to kind of have a bit of a go, a bit of a playthrough on, and just to see what everybody kind of thought of it all and everything and all that kind of stuff and how they kind of felt with it. So it comes from a Polish developer called People Can Fly. That was when it was started, and then in 2015, Square Enix agreed to publish it, and from there, People Can Fly expanded their team from like 40 members to 200. There was massive comparisons with things like Destiny and The Division when people saw sort of early access to it. But what People Can Fly are saying is that it's not like that at all. What it's more about is it's a story-driven game, and that there's a beginning and there's an end to it. And what they wanted to prove in this was that they were able to write a story narrative as well. And you'll notice, if you've played the demo, is that there are a lot of cutscenes. So what we got with the demo was the ability to try out all of the characters that are on there, and the characters that you actually have throughout the entire title. There are, let me think, there's 4 classes that you can choose from. So there is the Trickster, which has the ability to manipulate time, the Pyromancer, which has the ability to manipulate fire, which is the one that I used throughout the demo and really enjoyed. There's then the Devastator, which can unleash seismic attacks, and the Technomancer, which uses turrets and other devices. So that was more sort of like the Overwatch kind of character. All of the skills themselves have a special cooldown to go with them. There's a phenomenally good sort of skills improvement tree. It looks really intricate when you look at it, but in terms of following it through, it looks really good. I overall enjoyed it, but in terms of the actual gameplay itself, was there any bugginess with it? Was there any lagginess with it? Not really. We had a bit of a problem in terms of people joining people, and the game did kick us out a couple of times, but it's nothing too detrimental to the actual gameplay itself. Some of the cutscenes were kind of a little bit nonsensical. They could have kind of made the cutscenes form more into one, instead of doing a little cutscene, a little action shot, tiny little action shot, then another cutscene, then a little action shot, then a cutscene. They could have kind of done it more as a one-piece cutscene, just to sort of make it feel a little bit better. So overall, it felt good, so to speak. So just other things that I really liked about the game. There's the weapons that you do get, in terms of like the little bits and pieces within the weapons. There's special sort of skills that go with it as well. So for argument's sake, once you've got like white weapons, green weapons, blue weapons, purple, etc., so on and so forth. So you've got different styles of weapons that you can get moving out, which is kind of where I see the comparison with Division coming in. But there are specific things that those weapons do, things like lifesteal, things like crit, increased damage, all of that kind of stuff. So there are those different types of weapons that you can use that make it sort of slightly better as you kind of move forwards. And just the overall like ability skills were really good. Like with Pyromancer, there's the flame that you can shoot along the floor to set fire to people. There's also the flame that you can shoot at them, that it makes them rise up in the air and turn into a bomb, which is quite good. That's really good for ad clearing, actually. And then when it comes to sort of more kind of like boss fights, like when you do side missions or other little bits and pieces, when it comes to a particular boss that you're going up against, you have to do things like disruptions and things. So when you look at the boss, there'll be certain things that disrupt what they actually do. And on your skill set that you've got, where it picks, it tells you whether or not that will disrupt a boss. So there's a really nice way of being able to kind of chain your abilities together a little bit. And it makes for quite an interesting style of gameplay and an interesting way of playing overall, that when you play together with, with certain characters, it's a 3-person co-op game, but when you play together with certain characters, that you can kind of mix your skills and abilities together to help you get through certain aspects. Now, one of the things that I will say is it's very noticeable when you get when you're walking through a particular area. It's very noticeable when you're about to have like a fight or a boss fight, because just cover appears out of nowhere. They're just like really random walls that you can get behind, which is very, again, reminiscent of Division, very reminiscent of Gears gameplay. Just when you get up behind it, you see it, you'll go, oh, all right, we're about to have a fight. So it gives you that ability to take out the first wave, move yourself forward, take out the second wave, move yourself forward. That's not bad, but it was very noticeable when you got into it to play it that we're about to have a boss fight. How do you know that? Well, because there's loads of half-height walls that have just appeared out of nowhere. So you know that you need to hide behind them to start fighting. In terms of the overall look and feel of the game, it looked okay. It looked quite good. The first sort of bit that you go through looks very bright, very vibrant. It feels kind of nice. Like some of it was a little bit buggy, but not too bad. The overall gameplay section, when you're playing it itself, bearing in mind that it's using the Unreal Engine, it doesn't look anything overtly special. Now, I've only got an Xbox One X, so I've not got the Series X, so it's hard for me to talk about it in that kind of way. But I've seen PC gameplay of it online, and one person described it as very beige, and I have to agree with that. Sometimes it's difficult to see enemies in the distance by the little red triangle that's above them. I'm not sure how that will play out as you move on. I don't know if it's because they're kind of trying to go for a dark apocalyptic kind of look, and trying to make it look sort of slightly different, but washed isn't the word that I want to use. It almost feels sort of slightly too saturated. Everything looks very much same as the same. You kind of want what's the right way of saying it? The depth isn't there. That's probably what I'm trying to say. It could do with a little bit more depth just to make it feel overall better. Now, in terms of the gameplay, the fighting, all of that kind of stuff, the abilities and the kind of second to second gameplay of it, I felt that it ran really, really well. I felt that the character movement was quite good. If you're not used to third-person shooters, it does feel a little bit weird and it takes a little while getting used to, but once you kind of master the button controls and everything, and as I understand it, the button layouts on PC are a little bit wacky, but as you kind of get used to the button controls and layouts and the way that kind of all works itself, it works reasonably well. It works quite well. Overall, it's difficult because you don't know whether or not, because it was supposed to be released last year, you don't know whether or not that this build that they've given you to play is the one from the early access, which should have come out last year, or if this is closer to the final finished thing. I mean, you'll only know once you buy the game whether or not that's the case, but I hope that it's not as washy as it feels in terms of how it looks. But yeah, overall, it felt good. The story drive on it is quite good. It's interesting. I don't think it's anything new. I don't think it's anything genre-breaking. But I do think it's an interesting game to pick up and play, and something a little bit different. The world and your kind of little base that you're at, where you can walk around and there's vendors that you can go and see, very reminiscent to Division, very reminiscent to Destiny. Even your abilities are very reminiscent to Destiny as well. But there's little vendors that you can go and see and talk to. I must have heard one guy. There was two little guys up near, I think it's the vendor that sells you the armour. There's two little guys that were fighting, and I must have heard, "Come on, Gary, he's cheating," about 18 times on there. But hopefully that'll change. There'll be a little bit more to kind of go with it. That was interesting to see, but nothing groundbreaking out of that. That's very the Division kind of space, if that makes sense, where you go into it and you walk off to various areas and stuff like that. So again, it's difficult to judge without knowing which build we were actually playing as the demo. Overall, it was great. It was something. We are very starved in terms of games at the moment. There's nothing massively impressive going on with stuff at the moment, so something new and something a little bit different was good. I felt that the action with the guns was good. I did kind of think that the sound of the guns was a little bit off, a little bit, I don't know, a little bit not as realistic as realistic's the wrong word, but you know what I mean. It didn't kind of feel quite right in terms of how it sounded. Hit registration was good. Overall, I think it's quite good. It's going to be interesting to see how the game actually plays once the actual final version comes out. I think I'm probably going to get it. Will I pre-order it? I don't know. I enjoyed the kind of 3 or 4 hours that we played of it, so moving on to that time, so we'll just have to wait and see how it feels. I just wanted to give you a little quick review of what I thought of the game itself. So let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Have you played it? Are you looking forward to it coming out? And that's it really. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please don't forget to click the like button. If you're new to the channel, please also don't forget to subscribe. This has been Gibbon with a review of Outriders. Appreciate you staying and watching the video. We'll catch you on the next one, guys. Take it easy. Peace!